Hey everyone, and welcome to Studio Spotlight. I'm Lauren Becker, and I am here with the one and only Curtis Smith from 21 Alive. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. And the first question I have is kind of like your earlier life. Where did you go to college, and where did you kind of grow up?
I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, and went to a huge high school, a lot like Carroll, that owned a TV station. That's where I first got into TV. And then I went to Southern Illinois for radio, television, and Mississippi State for meteorology.
Can you kind of tell me the definition of a Saluki?
That's the mascot of Southern Illinois. It's kind of looks like a greyhound. It's a real skinny, ugly dog with big floppy ears. It's not an attractive dog.
And how long have you been working at 21 Alive?
I started in October of '95, so this fall it'll be 19 years.
What kind of is an average day at the station for you?
An average day, if the weather cooperates, is I go in around 1:15. I stay through the end of the 6 o'clock show. Then I go home for dinner break and hang out with my wife and kids for a little while. And then I go back. And at night we have a couple of shows, the last one being the 11 o'clock show. And so I get home around midnight. And then I typically stay up a few hours. I sleep till 10. I kind of have a 3 to 10 kind of a window for sleep.
That's nice.
Yeah, most days it is, but then, you go through stretches like this winter, and I don't even have typical days anymore. I don't even know what a typical day is because the weather's been so crazy. But if the weather is just nice and calm, that's what my day normally looks like.
What are some accomplishments that you've made ever since being in the business?
Okay. There are two, I don't know if governing body is the right word, but there are two organizations that kind of oversee television weather. One is the National Weather Association, the other is the American Meteorological Society, and the AMS is kind of the more prestigious of the two. And so if you go through a test and they like your credentials and then they have to okay your work on air, you get their seal of approval. So I got that a long time ago and I've held that for forever now.
Very cool.
Yes.
So what kind of made you want to go into meteorology? I mean, why does it fascinate you so much?
A couple of things. A, it's a lot of fun. Weather is just fun. It changes, especially in a place like Indiana, Fort Wayne. It's changing all the time. We get all 4 seasons. We get snow, obviously. We get bitter cold. We've had 100-degree days over the last couple summers. We get everything except tropical weather. So we get a lot of weather here, so it's fun. And because of that, it's a challenge. I'm a very competitive person. I like to be right. And so the challenge of forecasting the future and predicting the future is difficult, and so it's satisfying when you're right. So I like the challenge of it. And then on top of all that, being on TV is fun. Television is a fun job. Not all, but a part of my job is to goof off on TV and to be silly.
When a forecast does not go as predicted, do you take that personally? Or?
Yep.
Yeah.
Not only do I take it personally, but over the last few years it's gotten a lot worse for me because of Facebook and Twitter. You can get instant feedback from people. It used to be if people were upset about a forecast going wrong, they had to write an email or call the station to get you, and most people wouldn't go to those lengths. But now they can just write a quick line on Twitter or Facebook and tell you how awful and horrible you are. And so a couple years ago, one of the more recent worst examples of this was it was a Friday night into a Saturday morning, and I said it was mainly going to be rain because we were real close to 32 degrees. I thought we were going to stay just warm enough that it'd be rain. I said maybe a few flurries mixed in. So the next morning, my wife, who wakes up earlier than I do, got up and looked out the window and said, "Hey, it snowed last night." And I was groggy in bed going, "What?" And then she goes, "It snowed a lot last night." And I popped out of bed. I was like, "Oh no." And it was like 4 or 5 inches of snow. And I instantly got on Facebook and Twitter, and everybody was killing me and mad about it. And I thought I was waking up to rain and what happened. And so that's the big difference is people can give you instant feedback. So it's hard to avoid mistakes, and when you're wrong, people know you're wrong. That's one of the bad parts of the job, is that it's a very public job. And so when things go poorly, when you stumble, if you say something stupid on the air, people see it. You're not sitting in your cubicle all day where no one sees you make a mistake. When you make mistakes, people know.
Were you expecting this winter to be so bad? I mean, why has it been so crazy?
I thought it would be somewhat bad. I thought it was going to be more snow than normal, but I did not think it was going to be like this. I mean, this is so far the second snowiest winter of all time. So that you don't ever kind of predict all-time record seasons. And predicting a whole season at once is really difficult anyway. The reason it's been so bad is the jet stream has been very active, and it's been a little further south than it normally is. So the storm tracks have been going through, and because it's further south, all of that cold air from not just Canada, but really from the Arctic regions has been coming down into the upper Midwest. So it's not just that it's been very snowy, it's that we've had all these ridiculous cold temperatures, double-digit negatives. 7 or 8 records have been set since January 1st. We've been below zero like on 15 days since January 1st. So it's been crazy cold and stormy because of the jet stream mainly. So it's a pattern. Hopefully we'll get out of it pretty soon.
So where is your beard?
Where is my beard? Well, I can tell you, I don't 100% know. The first beard I grew, Youth for Christ took the clippings and auctioned them off at their live auction. So somebody has it in a bag. What's really weird about that is it went, in their live auction, they had a signed Peyton Manning poster right before the beard. And so my beard went back to back with Peyton Manning's autograph poster, and my beard went for a higher amount of money than
Are you serious?
Yeah, so that was crazy. I know, that was crazy. And then the second beard I shaved at the mall, and I know that a couple of girls picked up some of the clippings and that they're pinned to their office walls.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah,
That is funny.
It's funny. It's weird. It's weird more than anything.
So many students are on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm on Twitter.
Yep.
So everyone's just kind of seeing the whole Twitter famous thing. When did all this start?
It started in that first week of school after Christmas break. Through the week, I had been getting a lot of questions about school delays and cancellations, and it was just growing each night, and I was having a hard time keeping up with all of it, and because I like to answer everybody individually, I try to reply to people. And by Thursday, it was getting to the point where school could have been back on Friday. It was we're getting out of the worst of the weather, and the roads have been getting a little bit better. So I think all the students realized we might go back to school Friday, and so I started getting more questions on Thursday about delays and cancellations. I literally could not keep up. And so I put a tweet out and said, you think you might get delays, not sure about cancellations. I can't answer all of you individually. There's just too many questions. Right. And people still kept tweeting at me. And so I said, you know what we should do with so many of you on Twitter, we should try to get something trending. And I said, send me some hashtag suggestions. And so a number of people did, and one student did. I don't even know who it is. I need to go back and look and see who it first was. But one student sent me a hashtag call it off. I thought, you know what, I like hashtag call it off. Let's go with that. So I put it out there and I said, let's see what happens with this. Let's see if we can get something trending out of Fort Wayne. And I said, let's go with hashtag call it off. And it absolutely got crazy. So that was like 10 o'clock at night. And I was just getting a lot of tweets, but nothing crazy. And so I left at 11:30 and after our show, and I was driving home, and I just thought, getting a lot of tweets. Mm-hmm. Tommy Schegler, our sports guy, called me on my drive home and said, dude, are you seeing what's going on Twitter? And I said, no, I'm driving home. I said, I know a lot of people are tweeting at me and stuff tonight. And he goes, no, it's crazy. Get on Twitter as soon as you get home. Well, when I got home, because there was no school the next day, my son, who's a senior in high school, was sitting on the sofa with his phone, laughing his head off. And normally I go upstairs and change, get out of my suit and take my makeup off and that kind of stuff. And I didn't even go upstairs. I sat down on the sofa, and he and I looked at our phones for an hour and a half, from midnight to 1:30, just looking at Twitter, laughing our heads off. And somehow in that little time frame, people started putting my face on Jesus, on the $100 bill, on Barack Obama, on Mount Rushmore, on Miley Cyrus, on the Fab Five. I mean, any picture they could, people were putting my face on it and tweeting it out. And so going into that week, I had like 3,000 Twitter followers, and now I almost have 11,000.
All right, so we had a few people tweet in questions they wanted to ask you.
Right.
So we're going to start off with the first one. Were you born with greatness, or did you make yourself great?
I should have known these would be the questions from Twitter. I don't know how to answer that. If I was born with it, it kind of gives my parents the credit, right? So maybe I was born with it. I was just it just came to me naturally. I don't know. I don't think of myself as someone who has greatness. So
the next one is, will you continue to work now that both 21 Alive and NBC 33 are under new ownership?
I hope so. Our station has been sold. They will officially take over in June or July. There's a ton of paperwork, and the government has to approve the sale of television stations, so it's a lengthy, complicated process. So my plan is to continue to work. I've worked here for almost 20 years, and I would like to continue to forecast weather here, so we'll see. We'll see how it's going.
And would you rather have money but no power, or power but no money? It's a hard one.
It's not really a hard one. I have no power now, so and I only have a little amount of money, so I would choose money. Because I don't think I have power now, so I wouldn't be giving anything up.
And would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
I think I'm going to go one horse-sized duck. Because, well, for several reasons. One is, if a duck was the size of a horse, how coordinated could it really be? And if I got it out of the water, it would just be sitting there waddling. I could run around it and punch it, in the back, kick it in the tail feathers. Yeah. Whereas if there were 100, that'd be a lot. They could easily gang up on me. I could think things are going well here, but 2 or 3 could come up from behind me.
For sure.
So I think I would like my odds better one-on-one, even though it would be a big duck. Yeah. It's a great question. I mean, it's a question I've thought about a lot. It's a timeless question. I think all of us at some point have to address that question. Which would we rather fight? Yeah.
Well, and the next question, what is being better than Greg Shoup like? How is it? I mean...
Well, I've always been that, so it's just my normal. It's just normal for me. I don't have, I don't know.
You haven't seen anything different or felt anything different. You've just always been...
Right, it's not the new normal, that's the normal. No, in all seriousness, listen, when you're on TV, it's nice to know people are watching. And so I appreciate people watching, and the popularity has been fun, and I like the whole Twitter thing. In the last few years, I've been named Fort Wayne's favorite TV personality, and that's very humbling and very gratifying at the same time. So I don't try to make it personal with anybody, but it's nice to be appreciated, and the level of appreciation lately has been going up. So it's been fun, and it's been satisfying.
So before we end this interview, I just want to say thank you for everything, coming in and talking with us. It's been great.
Well, thanks. It's been my pleasure.
But before we end this interview, I just want to ask you one question.
Okay.
What's the weather going to be like? What's the forecast?
All right, hold on. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
So as we go through the day, sunshine, but cold conditions. 25 degrees at 3:20. What are you doing? Unbelievable. After like 48 years on television, you'd think TV's Melissa Long would know what the red light means, what the camera is doing.
All right, let me get back to this. 24 at 6, 19 at 9. It is going to be chilly overnight. Now, as we head into the next 24 hours, our weather gets very strange. You don't see this often, but a cold front goes through and causes an outbreak of forest fires right here in and around Fort Wayne. This is going to be a huge problem tomorrow as high pressure comes in. The wind is going to pick up, and I expect those fires to be widespread throughout all of our area, even into parts of Ohio. You know, this winter has been horrible. Don't forget, don't blame me, blame the groundhog. The only good news, some of the smoke from that fire should start to smoke that guy out. I have had enough of him. If you're with me on this one, follow me on Twitter. Use the hashtag #CallItOff. Curtis Smith INC. That is my Twitter handle. And if you've had enough of that groundhog, I know I have. Let's do it tonight. Death to the groundhog. Look at this low, 14 below. Winds out of the north at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Tomorrow, outside of those fires and the fact they'll take us to the boiling point of 212, pretty nice day. Got to get through the fires, though, and that is going to be an issue. The rest of the 7-day forecast kind of normal until, wait a minute, what's going on Tuesday? 38 below for a high. It's that stupid groundhog again. Unbelievable. I have seriously had enough of this guy.